Alright, let's talk about the adventures of Ichabod and Mr. Toad. The last of the Disney package films, and yeah, also the best. Unless you count Fantasia, then that. But yeah, out of the post World War II package films, Ichabod and Mr. Toad all the way, man. This was actually good. I mean, like, I liked Make Mine Music and Melody Time, but yeah, this is definitely the best. I mean, it's not necessarily great or anything, but I think it was comprised of two great cartoons. Like, each one's like a little over half an hour. Um, but yeah, one moment. So yeah, the first story told is Wind in the Willows, starring Mr. Toad. And yeah, it's got a very likable set of characters. Mr. Toad is like probably one of the most interesting protagonists so far that in any of the movies I've covered. Honestly, Ichabod's another one, but yeah. Back to Mr. Toad. But yeah, he's very impulsive. He acts on his desires. He's just very fun-loving, and he just loves. He just wants to try out all the great new things, all the new inventions, and it leads him into some hot water. And then there's some equally likable friends of his. Badger is very likable. There's not, but yeah, I think, Rat is, Rat and Mole. Mole is like the comic relief, and then his horse, Cyril. They're all just so enjoyable to watch. And yeah, it is a legitimately enjoyable story. It feels like it does feel like a full animated movie, even if it's rather short for one. But still, it's got some great story. It's a great story. Is there anything else to say about Wind in the Willows before I move on to Sleepy Hollow, the real event of the movie? Yeah, Wind in the Willows was great, but yeah, it's all about the Sleepy Hollow segment. That's what really made this movie. Yeah, Sleepy Hollow. Yeah, Ichabod is a funny character. Brom Bones makes for a fun antagonist. Yeah, some of the scenes kind of felt like a Charlie Chaplin movie. I did watch quite a few Charlie Chaplin movies, and yeah, this felt like what would happen if you made an animated Charlie Chaplin movie. Oh, and I do need to give mad props to both of the narrators in this movie. Basil Rathbone, best known for playing Sherlock Holmes, was the narrator of Wind in the Willows, and yeah, he added a lot of life to it. The narrators actually added to the stories for once. And yeah, and then Sleepy Hollow was narrated by Bing Crosby. And yeah, he added a lot of bounce to the music. There was a lot of music in there, and it was very fun. And that Headless Horseman song, that is probably it's easily one of the highlights of the movie. Just that whole musical number, very lively and also kind of scary. But yeah, then the scene that follows where Ichabod is traveling through the woods and everything's quiet and it's all eerie, and yeah, it's this is like the closest thing you'll ever get to a Disney animated horror movie. But yeah, just the build up was like intense. There were a couple like cartoony things in there that kind of broke up the suspense a bit, but otherwise, yeah, I love the build up, and yeah, there was then we get to the chase scene, the infamous headless horseman chase scene. Yeah, so much great slapstick, and it was also pretty intense to watch. I mean, yeah, I could definitely picture having been scared of that scene if I saw it as a kid. I know there are a lot of people out there who are like traumatized by that, and yeah, spoiler alert: Ichabod dies. Or at least it's easy to assume he dies. He gets a friggin' jack-o'-lantern thrown at him. And the love interest ends up with the rival, Brom Bones. That's a name that's not hard to forget. But yeah, you don't really feel too bad for Ichabod because, you know, it does show him as kind of greedy and a little selfish. Brom, he's kind of a jerk, but he doesn't necessarily seem like a horrible person, just trying to get the girl, you know. But yeah, Sleepy Hollow was such a great segment mostly for like the end part. Like I'd say from the Headless Horseman song onwards, that's where it gets like really good. That's like, yeah, those last 10 minutes or so of the movie, easily the highlight. Just totally makes the whole movie. So yeah, this was a good package film. It's a good way for good way for these package films to go out. I'm glad we're gonna move on to full length movies, full stories. But yeah, this was a good closure to the package films. And yeah, I am legitimately wondering if I should give this a 7 out of 10 or an 8, because it's kind of on the border, because, you know, I do feel that it's kind of easier to credit the full movies. Like, I'm kind of wondering if I like this movie more or Dumbo. I'm having a hard time deciding because, you know, both of them have their strengths and weaknesses. This movie's its weakness is that it's just made up of 2 shorter films, but its strength is that both of these films are just really good. So yeah, but somewhere on the border of 7 and 8. I can't decide yet. Maybe I'll decide if I make a full Mashit review of this, but yeah, I would definitely recommend this movie. Both of these shorts are really good. Definitely check it out. Not much else to say. Mashit and Smash It signing off.